Howdy chaps.
Hello.
And chapesses, if there are any. Mr. Beebe's face is entirely obliterated by chat, sorry guys. But I have to say, hello, welcome back to the Guitar Hour. Let me hide that chat from the screen there so we can see Mr. Beebe's face. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for waiting for us, because it's been a while since we've actually done a Guitar Hour stream. We've been reinvigorating everything. Now hopefully you saw our opening credits. Someone's written that was epic, so I'm pretty sure you did see it. Let me ask you something. Did you hear it as well? Did you hear our new soundtrack composed by this man? Could you hear our soundtrack, guys? It's really important that we know this. We've had a few technical issues because I've upgraded the stream so much. We've got new cameras, new audio. We're all plugged direct into the sound card and stuff with the guitars. So everything is new. We've got new lights and all sorts of things going on. So fingers crossed it should work. Now the only thing I have to say before we really get started is we've also upped our bitrate. So if you find that it's not streaming very well for you, I promise it's not us. You guys need a faster connection. You need to upgrade to fibre or something, or a little bit of a faster broadband connection. Guitar Addiction, thank you for joining the stream. So, let me introduce everybody. On my left we've got David Beebe.
Hello.
Then we've got Mr. Bronze, Dave Bronze here.
Hello.
You don't all have to kind of do a formal kind of... and then we've got Dan Smith over on the left. You guys have met all these people before. So let me talk a little bit about the the upgrades to the Guitar Hour. So basically what we want to do, guys, is we've got seasons now. This is season 1, which makes no sense because Dan and I have been doing this for nearly 2 years now. But this is season 1 of the new Guitar Hour. We've got a new logo, which I designed, all these kind of transitions and stuff in between scenes. So this is a bit of a technical experiment, so hopefully it works and everything goes to plan. So apologies if it doesn't. But yeah, basically we've upgraded the stream. We've got a much nicer microphone, so we shouldn't have any issues if Dan speaks really quietly. You should, be able to, you should be able to hear everything. Excuse me if I cough as well. I've had a bit of man flu going on. And we're going to do some specific set topics for each of these shows. Today's topic is a thing called The Thrill Is Gone. So we're going to talk about that later on. We'll tell you what that is. Excuse me. We also have themes for every single show. We've got 6 shows in season 1. If you check out our Facebook page, facebook.com, The Guitar Hour, is that right? I always ask that question.
/The Guitar Hour.
Yeah, you'll be able to check out all the dates for the season 1. It's on my Facebook page as well, and these guys have all shared it. You can find them on Facebook. You'll be able to find those dates. The final date of this season has well, that says it all. Has an incredibly special guest. Like, we are so honoured to have this guy join us.
I'm actually nervous.
In actual fact, I am nervous as well. In actual fact, although he is one of the nicest guys in the industry, and I know him reasonably well now. Not reasonably well, I've met him many times and I consider him my friend. But I'm not going to give you any more clues. We also have some cool guests lined up for, is it the 2nd or 3rd season? Possibly the
We don't know actually.
Yeah, well, we'll figure that out. Are
we kind of aiming for one per season?
Yeah, one guest per season for the final show. Live, by the way. This guest will be live with us. It's not going to be a pre-recorded interview. It's going to be live. It'll be via Skype, but it'll still be live. So that's going to be interesting, figuring out those delays.
Clues.
So, things that you need to know about before we get started. Starting next week, we're going to do a show next Thursday. Excuse me while I use my notes. We're going to be doing a giveaway each week. So I'm going to be giving away a Lick Library DVD, and we're going to be giving away a t-shirt as well. We'll be raffling those off. Also, if you look at the bottom of the screen, let me see if I can position my finger somewhere close to it. That's probably really difficult because the camera's not around. There. You see that backing track poll? http://strawpoll.me. What does that say? 6983. There we go. You can read it now because that piece of paper's not in the way. 6983788. Go there, and if you check out that straw poll, you can tell us which backing track you want us to jam on at the end of the Guitar Hour. So we've got a C minus G7 jazz funk track, a John Scofield B flat 7 funk groove, an E minor blues, and an A minor fusion groove. Vote for that particular track. We'll check out the results towards the end of the show when we do our little performance, and you guys can tell us which backing track to play on. And then we're also going to do a little challenge where you guys can play on that backing track and post your results on our Guitar Hour page. So, anything else they need to know about? What have you guys been up to? We'll have to do this quite quickly because we've got a lot of content to get through. So Dan, what have you been up to? And tell us a little bit about your new pedal board.
Gigging loads and spending even more money.
Dan has gone from like no gear to all the gear.
Yeah, Pretty much. Part of the thing of there is a phrase about this. One of you might know this. Like when something bad happens, you kind of rise up and you learn all new things, and you end up like better than you were before you had the stuff. If that makes sense. So because the van got stolen, I had to replace some gear. I ended up coming back.
They can't see this, can
No,
they?
they can't see it.
but
I need to set up the second camera, but I haven't set it. There's been so much to do for this stream, as you'll find out later.
It's basically a massive bank of Wampler pedals. He's got one of these that you
Oh, you can
sort of
pick
see.
that up. Is that in it?
Yeah, amp one.
He's got an amp one.
Recently.
Yeah.
So it's we've got Polytune, Ego Compressor, Dual Fusion, Photape Echo, Decibel, all Wampler, Strymon Flint. Getting quite addicted to tremolo now. I'm going to be that guy.
Sounds
Put it
good.
on
You
it.
might even use it
Everything.
later on. But
Maybe,
basically,
yeah.
Dan's got this massive new rig that's really, really great for gigging. Dave, what have you been up to?
I was representing Jaden Rose at the guitar show last weekend.
Okay,
and
we were there as well, eating curries.
Yeah. had a
And
great
getting
time.
ill.
3 colours.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I've got some video footage of Dave actually that was slightly integrated into the opening sequence, and Dave wrote our amazing soundtrack, which apparently you could hear, which is great, loud and clear. And yeah, we heard it, Tom. It was great. So they like your track. Actually, from next week onwards, we're going to be performing that live at the end of every single show. So
Yeah, and there's going to be each week a different person who's going to take the solo in the middle.
So it's supposed to be me this week, but I've had so much to do just getting this to work that I haven't been able to do it. So yeah, and hopefully you guys are voting in that straw poll. Make sure you check that straw poll out and get voting on those backing tracks. What have you been up to, David?
Well, I went to my first ever guitar show last
Oh, yeah.
week with your good self,
Yeah.
and that was very fun. And it was ungodly loud.
It was
My
ridiculous.
ears, my ears are
And that's
still
a
ringing.
small one as well, right?
Hey, Lunes, thank you for following the stream.
So yeah, that was really good fun. Met lots of really nice, lovely people, and had a great time. 3 curries in one day.
Yes.
That's
In a day.
Which is a
Well,
record.
well, it was 3 curries in 24 hours. I'm not going to the entire reasons of it, but yeah, there was 2 curry for breakfast, and then we had a smashing curry in the evening.
We're also making ourselves even less healthy by drinking these fantastic. What have we got? By the way, this is not some kind of sponsored deal.
No,
We
this is
just-
just.
But
like-
if you're watching Beavertown,
Yeah, if you want to give us a Beavertown endorsement deal, that would be marvellous. Basically, we're going to have different beers for each show, and these Beavertowns. I've got the Beavertown Neck Oil Session IPA, which is good because I always have a dirty neck beard.
I've got the Gamma Ray American Pale.
It's lovely, actually.
I've got the Smug Rocket.
I got the Holy Cowbell India Stout.
yours have got way better names than mine. So, apart from that, I've basically been doing lots and lots of work getting this stream together. So, also these guys, but all the technical stuff behind the scenes, basically. All the upgrades and some of the kind of design work, and I've been programming all of the transitions and videos and stuff. So, teaching myself how to use After Effects. So, my guitar playing is probably going to suck in this episode because I've just been doing lots and lots of other stuff that's non-guitar related. So, having said that, let's go to the news. So, hopefully, this is going to work. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm going to share my screen with you because I want to show you our news section, and we're going to go through the news section. Basically, for the guitar is going to contain news on new products, albums, gigs, that kind of thing. Not for us, but for things that are due to be launched or are going to be launched. And there's some pretty exciting stuff over the past week or so. So yeah, let me show you what we've got. Ninja Badger, that is the best username.
That's my good mate from back home.
Really?
Ninja Badger. Jason, is that Doddy? Doddy?
That's awesome.
That's what I say.
By the way, guys, if that clapping is really loud and you hear it twice, I apologise. That's just, I need to figure that out. That's just due to the nature of that being picked up in the room, unfortunately. So, sorry, and I know it might be quite loud. I need to go into the code for that and sort that out. So, okay, fingers crossed. So you should be able to hear us. So we've got the Strymon, which he's just talked loads about, but you didn't hear any of it.
I didn't hear any.
So tell us about it again, David.
Okay, so this is really I'm really excited about this Dave Job.
You've got to feign that enthusiasm once more.
Okay, so this is extremely exciting for as far as pedal supplies go. Pedal power supplies go. I was gonna get the Voodoo Labs thing to power my ever-growing rig inspired by Dan's gear obsession lately, but I held off because I heard there was rumours about Strymon doing one, and as you can hopefully see and hear me talking about now, on the screen there is this rather sexy looking nine regulated outputs of all 500 milliamps each. And that is enough to power up to 9 timelines or Mobiuses off of it. And it looks really quite cool. And I think it's going to be competitively priced as well.
Thing is, he's just talked about this for 2 minutes really enthusiastically, and now he's got to talk about it again and feign the same enthusiasm.
No, I am really, it's a good job, I am really excited about it.
Absolutely.
But power supplies are, even though it's quite geeky, like on my G system, if I run like 2 big delay pedals on it, it literally shuts down. So that's why this is a big deal. Because some of the hungrier pedals just won't work.
At the moment, I'm daisy chaining off of an old sort of Diego thing I've got, and it won't do my timeline at the moment. So I have to have that powered separately. And so it's not ideal really.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And as I was saying a minute ago, when you couldn't hear me, that is actually a power supply that you would want on the top of your board rather than on the bottom. So it's pretty sexy looking. So the next bit of news that we want to do, and now you can hear us, this makes sense, is Sean Ash's debut album.
Yeah.
Now, Sean is a good friend of ours, and this album is actually really, really good. This is Sean's debut album.
Yeah.
And it's, like, for a first album, this is astonishingly good. Really good writing, fantastic production. I think Jeremy Krull helped him with the production. And even the artwork is amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Dave, you've got a physical copy of it, haven't you?
I do. I got one of the last ones signed. And,
Very good.
Yeah, because I'm still old-fashioned. I like CD. Yeah, great. Just a great album. I'd say it's not just going to appeal to guitar players. It's kind of really melodic throughout, and a lot of variety of material in there as well. You've got like some ballady stuff, gypsy jazz type stuff, and some epic stuff. So yeah, definitely
pretty
you can
mature
check it
writing,
out.
really.
It's on YouTube and Spotify and stuff like that.
Yeah, unfortunately we can't play it on the stream because first of all we haven't asked Sean's permission. He doesn't actually know we're doing this. And secondly, I just don't want any kind of bandwidth issues or any YouTube copyright issues as well. Even if Sean gives us permission, YouTube have got really strict algorithms now that could take our video down when this gets uploaded to YouTube. I'll probably edit the bit out where you can't hear us though. So that's Sean Ash's album. You can go to seanashmusic.com because it's going to be a little bit hard for you to read this because I'm downscaling a 4K display here, so it might look a little bit hard to read, but the imagery should look fantastic. So you can check out seanashmusic.com. And then the final bit of news, and this is only really interesting. There's a security issue on this site, but it is actually okay. Is this? Now, Dan, was it you that pointed this out? Oh, it was you again. Mr. Beebe is Mr. News.
Yeah, well, this cropped up possibly on Facebook, something on Facebook. You all may know about this anyway, but it's quite exciting if you're Italian or live in Italy because G3 is being reformed with the usual suspects of Satch and Vi, but also the Aristocrats is the third G. Of course, being Guthrie, Brian, and Marco.
I love it. Guthrie the 4th and 5th.
I wonder. And so I think, and also that they're going to be the core of the rhythm section for the jam at the end. So rather than it used to be Satch's rhythm section, but it's going to be Brian and Marco.
Because I was thinking that if they use the same rhythm section for the whole show, Marco and Brian are going to be absolutely nuts.
Oh, maybe it is.
Because that's what we did when we went on tour for the GB3. We had the same rhythm section. Those guys are just on stage for like 2.5 hours or something.
So we're kind of hoping, let me just switch back to the normal view, we're kind of hoping that that tour basically becomes a big thing, and it's done all over the world basically, because the G3 thing with the Aristocrats is just, that's the dream gig really, isn't it?
That's the ultimate.
Incredible.
People have been like pestering sort of Satriani, I think, for Guthrie to be on the bill for a long, long time, and but to have it as the group is really cool. I think I would definitely. I haven't seen them in quite some time, but I would definitely get a ticket to that one.
The jam at the end, just man, can you imagine?
I'd be quite, I mean, I don't want to cause controversy here, guys, but I'd be quite nervous if I was Steve Vai and Joe Satriani.
I think it's going to get pretty far out, isn't it, really?
It really is.
Do you know what, though? Satriani always rules in those.
Oh, totally. He's a great improviser in any context. Welcome to the stream, Mubin Atcha. And again, apologies for the volume of that clapping. It's my fault, guys. I'll sort that out for you for the next stream. So, that's all the news.
Yeah, it must be time for...
It must be time for Dan's challenge.
Dan's challenge.
Tell us about your challenge. Tell us about this segment, Dan, and actually tell us about the cards and how it came up and stuff.
Yeah, well, I think it was originally the first time I went to NAMM. I was just gonna come up with this, sort of dumb little card thing where I was gonna have three 3 decks of cards. Not full decks because I'd have to, take me ages to kind of figure it all out. But so 3 different lots of cards. One of them would have, say, a few different backing tracks or a few different progressions or whatever. 11 votes. That's pretty good.
Keep talking, Dan.
Keep talking, Dan.
Don't be smoking.
Ignore that.
Shiny.
Yeah. So one of the decks was going to be what you're playing over. So whatever the progression or the song or
So
backing
one
track
of
or
the
whatever.
decks would
One
be
of the decks, yeah.
right. Okay.
So idea would be that you randomly draw that, and then it'll be right. I'm playing over minor blues or whatever.
Yeah.
One of the decks would be something that was a limitation, so something that you couldn't do. So either 5 fret limit or a string limit, or you can't, something kind of specifically to make sure that you don't just put all your best shit on there. Like you're actually there's some kind of
Causes you issues.
Yeah, there's something just to kind of throw you off. And then the other card was going to be something that you had to put in. So it might be that you have to put in a certain technique, or maybe like
a limitation exercise.
Yeah, or like you might have to try and like fit happy birthday in or something, or like something that you have to get in. So you've got a track, something bringing you in, but then something you have to put in as well. So the combination of those, and obviously you could draw more than one if you wanted to. You could have 2 limitations. So
people want to know where your beard is, Dan.
I've got nothing.
Challenge.
I want to know where my beard
You
is.
said challenge Dan to grow a beard.
It's,
But the idea is basically it's a way of coming up with a limitation exercise and a tune that's as random as you can have.
yeah,
with
and
set of
it's a
cards.
way of kind of sort of leveling a field between 2, 3, 4, however many people jamming a song, giving it some kind of route to go down, rather than like I'm just gonna sweep the balls off this and like play all the same
Sweep the
shit.
balls off this.
You know what I mean?
That'd be
Dan comes up with these new phrases all the time. Hollywood shit is one of Dan's. If you play anything really fast or
Is that
like,
what the Karate King sweep the
It's
leg?
the outtakes
so
from
sweep the
Kraken.
balls out of this is Dan's new
Sweep
phrase.
the balls.
So
Sweep the balls.
Dan,
Like,
Dan
Right.
is actually going
Goes
to
on.
possibly, depends on whether he remembers, bring the cards next time. But
Yes.
he's pre-selected a tune and he's pre-selected a limitation.
yeah, so I think what we'll probably do is just maybe do one different limitation or one different thing per show.
The mortal nuts. How appropriate. Do you sweep the balls off things? Welcome to the stream.
So we'll do one limitation per show, and then maybe towards the end of the season we'll actually try it with the full deck, the full Yu-Gi-Oh.
Full Yu-Gi-Oh. Gotta catch 'em all. That's not Yu-Gi-Oh though.
Pokemon.
Okay.
Yeah, so this week we're going to do 2-string challenge. Now you could, it's up to you which 2 strings you use really. Like you could be a bit of a dick and say, well, just the low E and the high E. But
I'm going to
that's
use
not
these 2
really-
strings, then these 2 strings, then these 2 strings.
Yeah, I mean, like you could
So
go like
I mean-
these 2 or these 2,
I meant these 2, then these 2. Then
Oh
these
right,
2.
yeah.
That's even more. Yeah.
So like you need
No,
to
I mean
kind
the
of keep
same
it.
run. I'm cheating basically.
Okay.
You need to keep it like relatively musical,
So the idea is basically that we're going to use the middle 2 strings. We're going to
Yeah.
play over what tune? Stella by Starlight.
Stella for this week.
We have the best, cheesiest backing track ever, by the way. You're going to love this. It's a proper jazz Nazi backing track. So we're gonna try and play over this. We're going to take a couple of choruses each. I'm not sure that Dave's going to partake in this because Dave is not a jazz Nazi.
No, I'm not a jazz badger. I could take part, but I think I'd offend all you people who actually know what it's meant to sound like. So
We'll find a challenge next time or a tune that.
Well, I mean, this thing as well.
I'll
This
take it.
this kind of stuff is really good if you're not used to playing changes, because it
Can I-
forces you to play into small little boxes.
Can
And,
I just
you
ask,
see-
like, why is there an advert for "Live a Sexier Life with Love Honey" on my straw
I
pond?
heard me say
What-
sweep
what-
the balls.
What's in your cookies? Cash.
That's a good question. That's very interesting, isn't it? Anyway, let's move on from that quite swiftly. So yeah, basically I'm going to stick the backing track on. Dan's going to go first, then BB, then me, then we'll take, unless it's like really boring, we'll take a couple of choruses each. Now what's interesting about this is, obviously we're not going to be able to do the old...
Yeah, because we just did
that old
Yeah.
chestnut.
Yeah.
Because the reason being, you can't, because you've only got 2 strings available to
Yeah, you
so
have to
you're
really
very
think
limited
about
as
your
to what you can
choices.
do.
So it's really good for playing changes.
So don't expect any shredding till later.
Have you all seen the John Petrucci shred the John Petrucci video where the guy dubs him and says, "I'm just going to play like this."
Yes, absolutely. So, fingers crossed, we did a sound check earlier on, and just like all the best sound checks, it'll probably be completely screwed now. So, if you can't hear us or whatever, that's fine. Dan's sat in this studio, by the way, is incredibly noisy, so sorry about that. So, Dan, Let's see if this works. More faces down.
Jazz face.
Close to going to another string then.
Phoebe, nice work done. It's the power of your beard.
Yes. Beard mojo.
My jazz has gotten better with the length of my beard growing.
I must be doing something wrong then.
It's got to be a full.
It's like ZZ Top, just with the JA brackets at the beginning.
Dirty boy.
That's hard. I know, yeah. That's nice. Spirit.
Putting him on. What's happening over there?
Just ignore this. What? Sure, that's an illegal maneuver. I think.
Same string.
No one's hit a wrong string.
I did once.
Gotten away with it.
Right, it's our last chance to sound reasonable. You're
It's
winning.
not as
isn't
easy
it?
as it sounds, but
It's like all my legato powers have been removed.
this is like you can, you know, you can do the usual box.
You did it.
Yes!
Finish off with some swing picking.
Across the two strings.
Whoops.
Yes.
Woo!
Someone call me.
Wow, that was weird. That was exactly the right number of choruses.
Fantastic.
Okay, so that is surprisingly difficult to do.
Yeah, seriously.
Thank you for your challenge, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Challenge down.
We'll
You have to remember your cards next week.
We'll look forward to your
Future ones. No, I know one of the.
Dave Beebe
the
wins
plus
best
stuff in
beard.
was Sweet was
Not
like trying to put
red
some sweet
beard.
picking in. So.
No, win best
Oh, yeah,
beard.
sweet picking.
That was sweet red beard.
Oh,
It's
so
not that red.
what we need to do now, guys, is basically every week we're going to have a main theme that's hopefully going to be useful for you guys. This is what we used to do with the Guitar Hour, basically, but we've incorporated a lot more content and hopefully a lot more playing as well. We're going to have a proper jam towards the end. And Dave and I are going to perform, or Dave primarily is going to perform one of the songs from his album, and I'm going to play a solo on it because I soloed on the album, and it will be nowhere near as good as the solo on the album because I'm just going to improvise. So we'll see what happens. But we're going to have a main theme for every single show, and our theme for this particular show is "The Thrill Is Gone." So we're going to start talking about that now. We've hopefully you guys have got notes where you can sort of remember what the sort of we were planning to talk about. So we will see you for the main theme, guys. So we are back. The thrill is gone. This was your idea, Dave.
No, I came up with the title. It was actually
It's
Beebe.
your idea.
It was-
I don't. It possibly was. Yeah.
You were kind of, well, no, you kind of, we were talking, weren't we, and you were saying about how you get to a stage in your playing where you're just like a bit fed up with guitar and a bit like you don't know what it's all about and that, and then you're
Yeah.
talking about your journey and sort of doing that. So I guess what we're going to do is each give some
Yeah.
thoughts on that sort of thing.
Yeah, this basic idea that is, you lose some of the passion that you had when you were 15 years old for guitar playing.
Yeah. So and I guess in there as well is sometimes, you can feel like like there's so much negativity around the whole music industry. Oh, there's no point and no work and what's the point in practicing all this? What's it for? So and I guess a lot of people get that. So yeah. So let's talk about that. So do you want to tell us a little bit about how what you've been up to and how where the topic kind of came from?
Where it came from. Without going too deep, I've sort of been struggling with issues of anxiety, depression over many things, but guitar playing, music being one of them. And really, I think it's been like it's this strange thing where it's the thing that I cannot stop doing. It's interwoven with fabric of who I am. Yet it also is the thing that's been kind of making me unhappy.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I
I can't.
feeling.
But I cannot stop it because I've done it since I was 8 years old. It's the
So
only
it's
thing I
too
know
far
how
now.
to do.
Yeah.
And it's like
The idea of doing something else is fairly terrifying.
it's even like it's not even I can't even entertain that because it's like breathing in a
Yeah,
way.
it's exactly what you do. Yeah.
It's but at the same time, it's caused a lot of issues. Not insecurities over playing and my ability, knowledge, all that have sort of prevented me from doing anything up to this point, and that frustration of feeling like I haven't sort of.
So we're talking like kind of, I'm just going to put my guitar in the cupboard. This is just like that kind
Yeah,
of.
I mean,
thrill is gone, or
a
just
year
the
ago-
general every time you play and it's just like, oh,
A year ago, I was quite literally going to burn all my guitars.
wow.
Yeah.
So
True
Was
pirate
that-
fashion.
So talk us through that to that point. So because what's going to happen, guys? We're all going to give our perspective on how this has affected us and some of the ways we're kind of dealing with it or dealt with it or whatever, But what I'm interested in as well is how did you reach that point, where you felt like did you feel you couldn't practice anymore? Was it boring or?
Were you doing music
music as a career at this point?
Yeah, well, I've only ever done music as a career.
Right,
So
okay,
when
so
I
do
when
you-
I left college, I did about 6 months in a post office, but shortly after that, I started doing some function gigging and lots of teaching.
Right.
And I've kind of just done that for 10 years.
Right.
Not really done anything other than that, or push myself for. And mainly, I think it stems from like a fear of when I was. I mean, I may have talked about this before, but when I was at music college, I was supposed to be learning jazz, and all I wanted to do was play dream theatre.
Yeah.
And I was there in a very weird sort of situation where I was doing this course I probably shouldn't have been doing.
I think that's quite common though, because there's stuff that I was trying to be shown at university that I just wasn't really ready for. I was trying to be. It's like stuff that you think that you're into because the university is telling you that's what you should be learning, and it's not. You don't take it in the same.
But because I was very young and naive, I didn't really take that on as a challenge. And it sounds like from what you said, Tom, like you took it on as a challenge and you like delved got right.
Yeah, I
into
was
it.
ready to. I don't mean ready as in. What I mean is, I was like, I wanted to play jazz. Attack God 1434. Thank you for joining the stream.
So I didn't even know really, I guess, what jazz was at that point.
Yeah.
And I think I ended up because I couldn't do it, I kind of went the opposite route and I wasn't sort of mature enough at the time to say, okay, well, I'll stop this now and just do something else, something that would be more appropriate. And so I think there's historical issues. Sorry, I don't want to get you all into it's not my therapy or anything.
It's all right.
It's all right.
Those sort of historical issues you're saying about where it's come from is that's kind of like brewed and bubbled over this probably period of getting on for 10 years about this sort of like insecurity of not being able to do that thing. And it's kind of been a real thorn in my side for being able to actually make any progress and also being able to choose a direction. It's been very difficult to choose what kind of guitar player am I. And
I bet that's really common for the people watching.
Right, so I was going to say, can I ask you guys a question as well? Because I know that so I'll preface this by saying around probably 6 or 7 years ago, I nearly stopped playing. And last year I had a big crisis, and
I was here.
Right. So, and I nearly stopped playing then as well. So I think a lot of people have been through this. The thing for me was I just had lost interest basically. I mean, when you've been doing something this is partly what my sort of role in talking about this is. So I won't go too deep into this. But when you've been doing something for 20 years, it's not. Obviously it's not as exciting as it was 20 years ago. But we'll get into that. So I'm just wondering if you guys have had the same thing. Have you ever?
I had a year where I just didn't play, pretty much. I mean, this was when I was about 19 or so, and I was just sort of the grind of it all and trying to progress. Just all got a bit much, and just didn't. This was the second year of music college, so I didn't actually finish the second year of college after school for music because just too much was going on. I was like, can't do all this.
Were you studying the Evil J word?
No, not at that point.
No. Okay. That's jazz, by the way.
Yeah, this was kind of before I took it seriously, to be honest. But I just just a year where I was just sort of like not really bothered anymore.
Right.
I wasn't in a band. I wasn't really doing anything. And I went to college I was working at Asda at the time. Went to college doing like a ridiculous session. I shouldn't say ridiculous, but like usually when people go to college they'll have like a plan. But I went and I was doing like film studies, philosophy, graphic design, which I did terrible at, and like art. It was like
I don't think it's uncommon for people to go to college because they don't have a plan.
Well, yeah,
you've got to pick something and you pick it and you do it.
Yeah. But and after that, I kind of said, what the fuck am I doing here? And then applied to Salford, and then just kind of pulled my socks up and then sorted it out a little bit.
Dave?
I suppose my story is a bit different in that I did modern languages at uni, which is kind of an excuse for practicing loads of guitar because I grew up in Spain and France. And then I didn't do anything. I've always worked sort of music related, but for me it's very different. Where I came to a crisis thinking, why am I doing all this work? When really what I want to do is compose music and play guitar. So my journey is quite different. So I just quit my job and started doing what I'm doing now.
And this is relatively recent for you, isn't it?
It's relatively recent, and also, so in that period I sort of didn't really practice or properly. So I'm sort of maybe similar to you, BB, in that this feels quite new new to me. So yeah. So what did you do to sort of?
Yeah, well, I guess this comes on to the sort of 4 steps.
The positive
The
bit.
positive
Just
bit
there,
after we
just
just
they're all, you know.
dragged you down.
We're not all going to
with
take
my,
a pill in a minute.
This is kind of packed. What have you put in the beers now?
Wobbin, thanks for following
Leave
the
us
stream.
on.
Sorry again about the noise, guys. Really quickly, by the way, keep voting on that backing track poll. Find out which backing track you want us to play over. There's 4 on there. Vote on them. Just go to that link down there. So sorry.
No, yeah, we're each going to talk, I guess, a bit about ways in which we've sort of like refound some of the interest or managed to tackle it. And I guess this is slightly different to what I was going to say. But I think it was I took, for me, it was about really being brutally honest with what I could and couldn't do, and it was finding the enjoyment, almost like rewiring the pleasure centres of my brain to find enjoyment in the things that I didn't used to do. So a really transformative tool for me was the iReal app.
Oh yeah.
And that was 4 or 5 years ago when that came
So
out.
what's the iReal app then?
Ah, right, okay. That's in terms of just putting chord changes up and getting sort of like an instantaneous kind of backing to be able to work to.
I know a lot of guys that use that for function gigs as well.
Yeah,
you can essentially make. You don't have to play it, but you can make you can make your own chart on it essentially.
Yeah.
And so I think it was doing that. It's being really honest about what I could and couldn't do, and what did I want to do. And I think one of the things was like to finally kind of really tackle that thing that I should have done all those years ago, and trying to do it now, and I mean I don't know how long exactly. It's all a little bit blurry as to when it started to click, but there was a point maybe probably 5 years ago where it started to click, because my so it makes it sound like I was terrible. I mean I didn't fail my degree or anything, but I kind of blagged my way through it, and I was always had enough to bluff my way through it, but it was by really, as being brutally honest with what I could and couldn't do, and practicing the hard things, practicing the things which I couldn't do, which things that I didn't know, implementing that theory and harmony knowledge, because my theory and harmony has always been pretty good, pretty solid, and it was being able to then put that onto the fretboard.
That's the difference in it.
Because that's the thing. I mean, with a lot of my teaching, you get, and probably you find Tom as well, is where you can get guitarists that have incredible technique and know tons of theory and harmony, but can't put the two together. And I was very much in that camp for a long
Well, you can
time.
trick yourself into thinking you know how to do something because you know how it's done.
Yeah.
Like you think, oh, he's just doing, he's just using that scale there or whatever, but it doesn't mean you can do
the
it.
grunt work of practicing for hours and hours and hours on those, on mapping that out across the fretboard, so you know, well, Tom's latest sort of tutorial goes deep into that, the fretboard visualization, but that's what I was doing, say, 5-ish years ago to a really hardcore degree, and getting really excited about it. And that's the thing about rewiring the brain. Like, I get so excited about doing simple little things where I could be totally in control of the note choice that I was making.
Well, it's like the 2-string thing that we just
exactly.
did. Like, you know, especially if you've got a mate around and you do that. That's
Well, I
that
could
kind
see
of stuff
myself
could
getting
go on
really into
for
that.
ages. You know,
Because the temptation is when you sit down, and this is part of where the problem comes from, is to sit down and just, let's say you're going to practice playing over Stella by Starlight, you just play, and you don't. I think the brain likes very specific challenges that you can set yourself, and the 2-string thing is really good. Any limitation exercises allow your brain to kind of see pathways through puzzles. This is what gets me addicted to practicing, is finding different pathways through puzzles, which is weird because I hate things like Sudoku because I find they take too long and they're too big an open challenge for me. But the guitar is kind of a nice thing to kind of map out, and I find that quite interesting.
you've got an instant result as well because you're playing, especially if you're playing over something. There's interaction straight away. Whereas if you're doing something that's written, you've got to do the whole thing, and then at the end you're like, oh look, I've done it now.
My experience is really almost.
Nick Stark!
Speak of the devil.
We were talking about you earlier on.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining the stream.
Is all good stuff.
I know how he's.
Oh yeah, in a
vote.
good way, by the way.
I know how he's going to vote.
So do I.
So my experience is really different in a way because until I decided to go full time, I suppose I was doing that thing of where you compare yourself to the guitar players. So for example, today we just done the jam and you did the jazz changes thing, which I can't really do at all. And so my thing was like thinking, distilling it right down, saying, right, what is it that you really enjoy? And not even work on the stuff you crap at. Basically, I said, as much as I like the challenge of being able to play jazz, it's just not my bag. The thing that makes me really happy is being creative and creating music. That's when I feel happy. Not talking about recording it, although I love that. I'm not talking about performing it. The thing that makes me really happy is that bit where you come up with the idea and get it down. So the way I've re-energized my practice is starting with thinking composition. So I only practice things that are going to end up in a song. So I want to write a really up-tempo boogie tune, and so I've been really working hard on my up-tempo triplets and my time feel and stuff. If I didn't have that song to work towards, I wouldn't be motivated to practice, because it just seems there's too much. Because I've narrowed it down and said, I know, just through guys like Tom and other guys saying, actually, you've got a talent for writing a tune.
You do, man.
Then
your writing is awesome. Love
well,
it.
thanks. Well, then it enables me to narrow.
Even the chat thinks so.
Yay.
Internet's never wrong.
It enables me to focus in and then make the practice count, and that's how I've got the excitement back into my playing, just by almost not feeling that I have to be the next, whatever. Or
Next
the
day
guy
bronze.
who can do the next day bronze. Yeah, the guy who can do everything. So that was almost I've done the opposite.
I
of
think
not
that's a
playing.
very common thing, especially now with the internet and like with the Jesus Guthrie like turning up and like
GG stuff.
like because people are seeing that now as like that's what it needs to be like. It needs to be able to play everything. You know.
Yes.
I think if that made me happy, then I'd probably do it. But I was never the guy who'd sit through Guitar Techniques magazine and try and learn everything. I'd just like cop the 3 licks that I liked and try and nick him and put him in my tune. But I think it's really important, if you're watching the show, is really be honest. Like what you talked about, being honest. What is the thing that really makes you happy? And really think and try and spot when that happens, and then do more of that. Basically.
It's hard to know whether to recommend it or not, but
Uh-oh.
no. Just in the way of like
Drugs.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go down to the docks.
As in snort.
No. I'm not talking about that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like, it's weird, isn't it, about what makes you happy? Definitely, the addiction on a slightly different tangent is I can definitely identify with. It became hugely addictive. Like we've jammed over tunes and 10, 15 minutes or 50 minutes on one tune. You think back and it's just gone in the blink, but it's so it becomes very, very, very addictive. And when that happens, it gets better and it snowballs.
And you want to do more.
And you want to do more of it because it
Okay,
gets better.
yeah.
And that was really really transformative for me, enjoying playing guitar again and sort of re-establishing a love of the instrument, music, and practicing. And now, as I say, for several years now, I have been very invested in practicing again, and not necessarily for the sake of being the next whatever, not for the sake of even for a career. I mean, it's literally been to sort of conquer old demons of like.
And enjoying the process, maybe enjoying the like being, because there's something to be said for that. That sometimes if you focus on the goal too much, you
enjoying
lose
the
sight
process.
of it. So yeah,
That kind of links into kind of my point with this, which is that, I think we tell ourselves off too much when, especially with something like guitar, especially if you do it for a living as well, or if you study it a great deal, you tell yourself off a huge amount when you find you don't have the passion for it that you used to have anymore, or if you find it frustrating. It's totally normal for you to go through massive ups and downs in how much you love and desire to understand this instrument and music in general. I've gone through big periods of time in the last 10 years where I've not listened to music at all. And I used to think that was a really terrible thing and used to tell myself off for it. Same with guitar playing, when I don't want to practice these days, I don't play, I don't practice, I don't listen to music. I do other things, like I've been checking out After Effects recently, I learn software packages, I'll just sit and use a sequencer, or I'll fiddle with these things. I've just broken something. Fiddle with these things for a while, with cameras and figure out how to just developing other skills is is absolutely fine. You know, it doesn't always have to be about guitar. What?
it's just you like what you're describing that you're doing for fun. It's like I just write a letter to my pen pal in binary, and then, and then I'll play some guitar.
Yeah, but that's just me. I mean, you could like, I don't know, like
So
learn to play basketball or something. I don't know.
No, I mean,
what I'm
it's
saying is
absolutely
it doesn't always have to be guitar,
Yeah,
and if you're not doing it, you should feel really bad about it. Of course, after 20 years of doing the same thing every day, it's going to become less interesting and more stale than it used to be. And that's normal. It's just, you know, I don't know if I should use the analogy I want to use, but
I mean,
no, I probably not.
Maybe
No, I shouldn't do. You can probably imagine the kind of thing that's going through my brain at the moment. But it's absolutely fine to not always be 100% guitar all the time. It's totally normal.
I think with most things that are either sort of like anxiety related or anything that you're beating yourself up about, I think 90% of it is all in your head, and the only thing that is making it worse is you. And if you can kind of, some things might set you off, but like things like you and your instrument, that is like, it's down to you to go, look, this is fine, doesn't matter, we'll do this tomorrow, or you know. Don't sort of perpetuate it and let it consume you and think, well, I'm a professional musician, I should be doing this right now, this is who I am, I should be doing this. Because you're just putting pressure on yourself then that's not necessarily there.
So we kind of need to wrap this up fairly soon. So anything last, like fairly short, you want to say on this? And hopefully this has been useful to some of you guys.
I think just one little thing from my little triplet practice that I was doing since January, I was feeling a bit down about it, and then BB came around and jammed at my house. And then jamming with a musician, I realised that actually the practice was working better than I thought in the context of a real situation. So,
and actually, that
get an encouraging mate. That's my top up.
Well, one of the last things I would recommend is if you spend your entire time sat in your bedroom or your studio playing, and you get bored, then you know, go out and play with other musicians.
Yeah.
You know, don't be scared by it, because it's going to reinvigorate your playing. It's going to improve all sorts of aspects of your playing.
Which is the other thing, is a second opinion as well. Like, if you think something's not going that great, like you go and jam with a mate and it's like, oh man, that stuff that you're doing is really good.
Yeah.
Instantly that's a boost then, especially if it's somebody that knows what they're on about and you kind of respect. So you're going to get an opinion that's like, oh, maybe it's not as bad as I think it is, and it never is as bad as you think it is.
Surround yourself with encouraging people.
Yeah, definitely. That's I for the longest time shut myself away in my bedroom playing, and then not. Other than doing like function gigs where I never ever see another guitar player, just lately, and just like, you know, jamming time yourself, you guys meeting you and doing this, it's massively helped my sort of confidence level, and I'm relaxing more when I'm playing
yeah, and I will make this the last word, because we have to move on from this. And I'm worried that if I say this, we're all going to say something again.
I won't say anymore.
But you know, don't take yourself too seriously. Take yourself seriously enough. But like so Ryan S guitar, my biggest problem is improvisation in front of other people, because I believe in what I'm doing, but my body doesn't share the same enthusiasm.
I get that.
Don't worry too much. Like we're gonna play a tune for you in a second. Then we're gonna talk a little bit. We're gonna jam over one of the backing tracks that you guys have chosen. Like, yeah, this is live, and if it goes horribly wrong, do you know what?
It doesn't
matter.
I mean,
The world's. It's not like Donald Trump has pushed the nuclear codes, and we're all gonna suddenly. You know,
that's not funny.
That's not, exactly, that's not funny. This is far less kind of serious than that, you know. So it's music. Don't worry about it. Like the best piece of advice I ever had was from John Wheatcroft, and he said, "There's a reason they call it playing music." It's just great. Yeah. It's a good piece of advice. So, having said that, let us now move on to the next section where we're going to do some playing, because I think you guys are asking for it. So, and I mean, you're asking for it. So we'll see you then. Okay, so we are back, and we're basically going to do some playing. So Dave, do you want to introduce your tune?
Yeah, so this is a tune off the album called Miracle Maker, and it's kind of quite inspired by the band Iona, whose t-shirt I'm wearing. And,
Mr. Dave Bainbridge, who's been on the show before.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
And
show.
So on the album, it's kind of how I got to know Tom. He kindly played a solo on it. So it's quite influenced by the Ullin pipes, which is like the Irish version of the bagpipes, and I try and put a bit of that into my phrasing. So.
Do you want to just check your sound then, Dave? Okay, Cool. So on the album, I played a solo on Dave's tune, and well, Dave liked it, and it was supposed to be like kind of Brett Garsted-ish,
Yeah.
sort of legato kind of thing. So I'm going to improvise a solo on it now because no way I can remember the solo I played on the album. So keep your fingers crossed because I don't normally play kind of. It's got no changes in it, Dave.
Sorry.
Putting the disclaimers in.
Absolutely, don't take yourself too seriously. Right, here we go. Oh, Dave, I love that tune so much. So you enjoyed that, guys. Buy Dave's album. Where can they buy your album, Dave?
DaveBronze.com. Bronze spelled BRONS.
Not Bronze the metal.
Not Bronze the metal. No, that
Okay.
would have been
BRONS.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. So, yeah, you guys hopefully have been voting on this straw poll, which apparently is sponsored by Love Honey. Let me see what the results are.
And the results.
Oh.
So, kind of. Oh no.
It's a tie.
Oh, as if there's a tie. There's a tie between the C minor 7 to G7 altered jazz funk track and the B flat 7 John Scofield's funk groove. So, as I'm kind of the arbiter of such things, I'm going to let Dave decide.
Oh man.
He doesn't want either of them.
Yeah, a C minor 7.
You want the C minor 7 to G7 altered?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool because that gives us a chance to kind of talk a little bit about something
Yeah.
in terms of helping you guys play over this track. So,
Yeah, I'm all ears.
guys, I can't believe you've done that. You've oh, how inconvenient. So, this track basically, you guys voted, and yeah, everyone wants a sustainer now. By the way, Dave.
Oh man, yeah, everyone should get one.
So this track basically, there were 2 tracks. There was one based around this, or there were 4 tracks, but you guys have voted between these 2. So I should have thought about that. Should have thought of a better way of deciding. We should have had a dice roll or something, instead of putting all the pressure on Dave. This particular track is based around 2 chords. It's based around C minor 9 in this case, or C minor 7, followed by its 5 chord G7 altered. And there's a few different ways you can play over it because it's actually it's not challenging to play over because you can just play sort of a C minor pentatonic vibe over all of it.
You can kind of let the harmony make, sort of do the work.
Yeah, you can let the harmony do the work, a la kind of your typical Steely Dan solo.
So it'd be
or Rutherford solo.
C Dorian.
C Dorian or C minor pentatonic, and then the G7 altered. What I'm going to play the altered or super Locrian scale over it. But you picked it, remember? Or you could play. Now this is pretty cool. Because what we're going to do is basically we're going to start the hashtag. What did we say? Guitar Hour Jam.
Yeah, Guitar Hour.
So hashtag Guitar Hour Jam on Facebook. Basically, you guys can play your own solos over this. If you go to the backing track poll, this is the C minor 7 to G7 altered bump. Save that. Go to that straw poll link at the bottom. Save the YouTube link, which I've provided for you. Check out this track, and you can post your own versions of this jam. If anybody wants to, like Guitar Addiction, if you want to post this particular track in the chat, that would be marvellous. I can't actually copy and paste it because I'm on a different computer for the chat. So if Guitar Addiction is feeling generous and would like to post the link for the C minor to G7 altered groove, that would be marvellous. Yeah. So essentially, what is?
That's my blue guitar.
Has it got a fan built in?
Yeah.
Why is it going off? Has it got your tube's got a bit warm? If you're hearing a fan, that's why.
It's the
So-
awesome flame.
One thing you can do if you want to jam over this, now I'll demonstrate this very briefly before we actually jam over this, is if you want to play over the G7 altered and you want to stick with minor pentatonic, just basically go back 2 frets from your C minor to B flat minor, and you'll sound like John Scofield. So C minor pentatonic over the C minor chord, obviously, and then B flat minor pentatonic over the G7, and you'll get this vibe. There's the G7 altered. Here's the C minor. So that's going to work nicely. If you want to jam over this and you don't know your altered scale, we're going to do some nasty stuff with the altered scale, I would imagine. But if you don't know it, you can use your B flat minor pentatonic over that. Okay, so let's find the beginning of the track and we will have a jam. Do you want to just check your sounds, guys? BB was winning the tone wars earlier on, so we'll see if it's
this
still.
thing as well.
Yeah.
On this pointy shred machine.
It's not on. Okay, here we go. Dan, you good to go first?
Oh, alright.
Just solo for a bit and then pass it on when you're ready. Throw the torch over.
Sweet mystical time.
Yeah, that was deserved. What? Oh, Dave. Well, I can't do anything now. Good luck. I've got no track left to play over. So there we have it, guys. I only got one go, but never mind. That's the nature of backing tracks that only lasts a certain amount of time. So you enjoyed that. What the hell were you doing there?
It's just,
How can you bend that?
And then you just grab it.
It scares me.
Dave, what gauge strings have you got on there?
Tens.
Madman.
Very nice. So, you guys, if you want to have a go, scroll up in the chat. The backing track is up there. You can basically use the hashtag Guitar Hour Jam.
Is it, or just Guitar.
Just Guitar Hour Jam.
Guitar Hour Jam.
Yeah,
Okay.
Guitar Hour Jam. Hashtag Guitar Hour Jam on Facebook, and we should be able to find it. Or you can share them directly to the Guitar Hour Facebook page. Yeah. So right, we are now moving to the final section of the show, which is Q&A, for which there's no cheesy transition. I asked for questions earlier on Facebook, and people have posted them through, so we've got a few to go through. So you guys obviously can, you don't know what these are, but you guys can give your answers to these as well. Now, if you want us to answer your questions on the Guitar Hour, you need to post them onto our Facebook page. Thing is, the Guitar Hour is never really meant to be like a theory lesson or an improvisation lesson. So if you start asking things like, there's nothing wrong with these questions, by the way, but they're just not appropriate for Guitar Hour. If you start asking about how can I play over an altered chord or whatever, we might deal with that at some points just naturally through the course
It
of the
might
show.
be that we just say this is what I would do, this is what I would
Yeah,
do.
but
As
we're not
it's
going to go
on.
into like a big lesson about how to play over certain things or how does I jazz or that kind of thing. That's not the point of this. So they're kind of more questions related to career things or gear or those kind of questions basically, not necessarily just, they can be playing related but not like a theory lesson. So Fabian Ratzak, the cheeky boy, asks, when will there be a release of your solo album and the one with Martin? The one with Martin is almost finished, but there was an issue with some of the keyboard tracks, so they need to be re-recorded, and then we've got to just finish a few guitar parts. Both my album and Martin's album are in the works. I can't remember which episode it is. Which episode am I playing one of my tracks?
3.
Episode 3. Tune in for episode 3 in 2 weeks' time, and you'll be able to hear me play one of my tracks off my album live.
Have you decided which one?
I think I'm probably going to play the Funky Chicken. I think. Although I know which one you want me to play. He wants me to play a track called Blues Farts and Fusion Upstarts. Okay, so a proper question. Not that that's not a proper question, but Jack Taylor. Hey man, just wondering how you go about practicing your time feel, what your approach is. Hope you're well, dude. So the time feel thing, I'm actually planning a full package on that, so I'm not going to go into a lot of depth here. Again, we're not trying not to make this into a big guitar lesson, but just so you know, I am planning on putting a time feel package together. And we won't go into loads of detail on that right now, so maybe we might organise a future episode on time feel. But now we can get into questions that we're actually physically going to answer. So okay, this is a really good question from Andrew Solomon. When you've established yourself as a good player in that, as he puts, so a good player, how do you deal with the pressure of maintaining what others might view as suitable progress and indeed creative output? Do you think there's ever a need to reinvent? And I find that a very interesting question that no one's ever asked before.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Any opinions?
Mine was slightly different because I've written the first album, so I'm now on the difficult second album. And so it's a weird thing because when I put my first album out, I was just going to put it out and it's me. And the second one, it's there's that thing of if it's too far different to what the first one was like, then I've built up a fan base.
Try and do your album too, or
do I do it the same, different? And I think the answer is goes back to what we were talking about earlier. I'm just because I'm an independent musician, I'm just going to put out whatever I find exciting. And so there is going to be more guitar playing on the second album than on the first album. The first album was very orchestral. So
which was one of the things that made it really amazing. Not that your guitar playing is amazing, but it was one of the things that really made it stand out.
So there is still going to be all that stuff on, but I'm looking to do it in ways that I find interesting. I think if you always kind of go around trying to do it according to what other people perceive as progress, then that's probably not the way to do it. Although, one thing I thought was interesting is I watched Crossroads Guitar Festival, and it was interesting seeing Clapton playing and Jeff Beck, and thinking Clapton plays exactly as he did way back when, but Jeff
Clapton.
Beck is just keeps improving. So I think, for me, I'd rather be Jeff Beck, where I could take what is the thing that I do, but just keep refining it.
So small ambitions.
Small
Small goals.
I wouldn't be. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever be as good as Jeff Beck.
So-
He's a genius.
So I can answer this from the perspective of not having an album out yet, but one that's kind of, well in the pipeline of all the stuff's written and stuff. I feel a huge amount of pressure to be numerous things to numerous people because my playing appeals to people for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So some people are really into it because of the legato technique thing, with a heavier kind of lead sound in a more kind of rock fusion context. Some people are into the more jazz side of things and the complex harmony. I never play in odd time signatures, so there's none of that going on. And some people are more into the kind of Tim Miller-esque kind of side of my playing. And my album doesn't necessarily, in all cases, represent either of those things. You know, some of the tracks are very groove-based, as you've had, with some complex harmony. Some of them sound like Greg Howe. There's an acoustic thing on there, and I feel a lot of pressure to release a product that's going to appeal to everybody, and it can't possibly. Yeah. And I think one of the things I've really struggled with over the past few years is being a musician. You know, you shift. Like at the moment, I'm in a big jazz phase, like really developing my clean tone legato and lines and stuff, and a lot of the stuff that appeals to the more kind of rock oriented community is not going to be present in a lot of my videos at the moment and a lot of my output. And you feel a pressure to kind of appeal to both sides, so it's quite difficult. So that question's interesting because I find that often shapes my thought process, and I have to really try and put that to the back of my mind. I would imagine Guthrie gets this a lot as well.
Yeah,
not that I'm comparing myself to Guthrie in any way, but
I think at the root of the question is kind of well, are we gonna wait till we're ready, sort of thing.
You can't, can
and or are you gonna wait till you're good enough for the next time? And I think the answer has to be don't do what I did and wait 20 years.
It's too late, Dave. I've already waited.
So.
Okay, so another question. This is a really interesting one as well, although I think I know what the answer to this is going to be from everybody. Lorne Reed, do people have, other than me, I can't read the whole question, but do people other than me have various rigs they play through live? And then he lists his rigs and they're quite impressive, but he says basically he's not trying to be like I haven't actually pressed the C more, but he said something like I'm not trying to be a gear whore or show off, but he's got lots of different rigs. And I totally get that. Why you would have different rigs that you would use for different scenarios, it makes sense. Or just because you can, which I think was his reasoning. I mean, you've got different rigs.
Yeah, different rigs.
You've got different rigs.
Yeah. Well, I've just I've got
this
more
rig now.
stuff.
Dan's just got the ultimate rig.
I've got more stuff than I need. Like I've got the Victory at home that I'm not really. I mean, I'm using it at home, but if I was doing a different gig, I'd probably take some stuff off here, I'd use that. So I guess yeah, it would be the answer. I mean, you can't. It depends what you're using.
This show's a case in point, though. I brought my little Blug Amp 1 for this show because it just fits in my case and I can pack it up. But you know, would I like to bring my full rig with my tube amp? And of course I would, but it's not practical.
I'll show you guys what I'm using as well. Sorry,
this whole it might look quite excessive from here, but all this on this board just fits in the pedal train hard case, and I don't have to bother taking an amp or a speaker to the gig because I just go out of this amp one into the desk, and it's all in one thing. It's one less thing to carry.
If you enjoy having your stereo stack and it makes you happy playing, and you don't mind lugging it about, do it.
I mean, it's good to get different rigs for different purposes. I mean, I didn't mention this yet, but I've been using this today. It's arrived today. I'm doing a demo for 2 notes. This is the Clean preamp pedal. I've just been plugging this. I've just unplugged it now, but I've been using it direct into my sound card. In fact, the nice thing about the way we're running is we're all running direct into. Well, Dave's. We might have explained this. I can't remember, but so I've been running my Dual Fusion pedal into this. Welcome, Heraki. Mr. BB has been running a Dual Fusion, an ego compressor, 1-player ego compressor, into my XFX 2, just with a clean. What's that amp?
Clean Strat.
Sorry, the preset's called Clean Strat. But I think it's
65 bass.
Yeah, it's a 65 bassman clean. Dave, Mr. Bronze, is running a Thomas Blue guitar amp 1 directly into my sound card, and we're just using a bit of reverb and delay, which is what I'm using as well. And then Dan is using his actual gig rig.
Yeah.
Not Gig Rig the company, but his rig that he uses for gigging. I will soon have a Gig Rig though, so I'm quite excited about that. A Gig Rig. But Dan is running a Blue guitar amp 1 as well. We need a sponsorship deal, I think. And then a load of 1-player pedals. Also a Dual Fusion. It's Dual Fusion in here. Dual Fusion room.
It's your logo everywhere.
These things have been multiplying in here. There's like 5 of them in this room. But it's amazing. That's why this is an advert. It's amazing. So yeah, we're all running direct and that works really well, but we all have bigger rigs. Dan's got like a Fender Twin.
Yeah, it's a bit. I mean, it needs tweaking.
But
It's
you've
a bit
got
broken,
amps,
but
you've
yeah,
got
I've
bigger
got
amps, that's
a-
what you use. Victory,
that's like
sorry, as well.
212 Fender Twin that's just so heavy. It's just
Yeah.
like
But that's
it's in a
the point.
flight case as well. It's not really.
Exactly.
No.
So we all use different rigs. I've got multiple amps here. I've got the Laney, which is my main amp, and then I've got a couple of got a little Port City down here, the Axe Effect, various different rigs, Port City Pearl over there. So we do all use different rigs. So don't feel bad, Lorne. Jack Richardson. We'll try and get through these a little bit quicker now. As musicians who work in an array of different areas of the industry, when do you feel most creative? Oh, interesting. He lists teaching sessions and originals and stuff. For me, I feel most creative when I'm doing my, as you call it, guitarchaeology, as Jake Wilson puts it, guitar research. So when I'm basically research, like really exploring the instrument is when I feel the most creative because I'm coming up with lines that kind of excite or interest me. Fairly short answers because we're kind of running over time.
Creative or like happiest, really, I guess.
Creative,
maybe
yeah, that's what he's put.
Creative, maybe improvising, really, or maybe trying different chord changes and stuff like that. Trying to get from one place to another using different chords.
Right.
That kind of thing, really.
Okay, Dave?
Favourite moments when I've written a tune, take it to rehearsal, and the other guys in the band just magically come up with stuff and improve it.
Oh yeah, very nice. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe?
Similar to you guys, really. At the moment, it's being able to come up with something interesting through a set of changes, or finding. And the big thing I'm doing, I was meant to talk about this earlier, but the sort of comping, small improvised comping, and that's feeling really. Although I can't do it yet, I feel very creative when I do it. When it works for small sections of time.
I do a bit of arranging as well in the band, and that's always quite good to use the stuff that you sort of learnt at school.
Right, cool.
Have it, replayed.
Ken Day, are there any techniques you struggle with? Load, sweep picking, tapping, all of the kind of normal shred techniques, so alternate picking, fast, all that kind of stuff I struggle with. You guys?
I struggle with. I'm okay with most of them if it's prepared and learnt.
Yeah.
But for improvising, I can only do the legato thing. Really.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at sweep picking, alternate picking.
Tapping,
probably.
you're very good at.
Tapping, good
Dave
at.
is a technique freak.
Alternate picking, I don't really do.
Okay. Dan?
I don't tap.
None of the Hollywood shit. No, you do some Hollywood shit.
Oh, really?
You've got some sick Hollywood shit.
Dan's a dark horse.
It's in denial.
He's tasty and then suddenly he'll just throw something in that's disgusting. But there's all sorts of techniques that you can't be. You can be good at everything, but in your general style of playing, the way you sound, most people don't use everything. Sean Baxter does, but Sean's amazing. He's a legend. Okay, Chris Brown. Will these episodes still be uploaded to YouTube? This is an easy one. Yes, they will.
Next.
Yep. Nick Andrew, a very good friend of mine, great guitar player. Jolly good to see you at the weekend at the guitar show. Hope you had, got some good footage. Thank you very much. I asked you at the bar about how you control your left-hand fingers. Yes, we were at the bar eating curry and drinking beer, and keep them close to the fretboard. Do you have any good tips for control? I do actually, which is basically to practice, if you're doing legato, to practice so slowly that your brain is totally in control of the elements of the technique, and to not worry about note projection. So as you're kind of improvising, I can't play now, but you should be able to hear it anyway. No, don't give me a guitar in standard tuning. As you're playing, don't worry too much about the note projection and volume. Just play really lightly, and you should basically, that would work. You should be able to talk at the same time as playing. I always talk about this on my clinics and. So when you're playing, you should be able to, if I roll my volume down, play kind of. I'll do it slowly first. So ask me some questions, Dave.
What's your favourite colour?
What's my favourite colour?
Red? No, blue.
No, I think. Do you know what I'm going to say? White, because my car is white. And it's not really a colour, but it's that kind of. That's kind of a cheesy answer. Ask me another question.
Okay. What was the curry you had at the guitar show?
What was the curry we had at the guitar show, guys?
I think mine was a lamb curry.
It was a lamb curry. I had a chicken one, didn't I?
Yeah, chicken.
I had a chicken one with some rice, and it was £3 and it was very, very tasty indeed. Very good. And then we went for a curry later on, didn't we, with Mr. Ed Markey. So you get the idea. Basically, if that technique is so consuming your brain and your fingers that you can't talk while you're doing it or hold a conversation, that's a problem. So you need to practice so that your fingers are so relaxed. And that means that the note projection and volume is not an issue. You can add the note volume after the technique is comfortable and feels relaxed. If you start with tension, it's very hard to remove it afterwards. If you start relaxed, it's much easier to add tension in and keep the control afterwards. So hopefully that helps. Alan Parkinson. Oh no, this is another legato question. Sorry guys. In your modern legato tuition video, some of the fingerings you use involve some pretty wide stretches. My hands aren't that big, nor are mine.
So
no. Would you have any advice for those who can't do the 4-5 fret stretches? Der echte Krashye. Thank you for following the stream. Sorry I can't pronounce your username properly. Stretches. Like if you hold a guitar like this, like Dave's doing.
Get a smaller scale guitar.
Get a smaller scale guitar. You can't change the biology of your hands, so if you can't stretch, don't hurt yourself. Like I do silly things as well. You'll find things that work for you, like this stretch. If you guys find 5th fret on the E to the 8th fret to the 10th fret, I use my 2nd finger instead of my 3rd finger.
Oh, I would as well. Yeah.
So for stretch pentatonics, you'd use 1, 2, 4.
Yeah, unless I was going to play the next string. And if I was going to play, let's say I was going to play.
Okay, does that help with the transition then?
Yeah, and it also feels more comfortable for me as well. So in terms of stretches, just raise the guitar neck up.
Don't be afraid of a fusion chin strap.
Don't be afraid of a fusion chin strap. That's very true. By which the guitar necklace, much bigger stretch is achieved that way. But yeah, don't hurt yourself and find other ways of doing things if you can't stretch. If you can't stretch, you can't stretch.
Tap it or something.
Tap it, yeah.
That's what Guthrie says.
And finally, very interesting question, Josh Rinaldi, which I hadn't seen up until this point actually, I didn't know it printed off. Where do you guys see the future of harmonically sophisticated music heading in the next decade?
Whoa.
That's like a 5-hour debate in and amongst itself. I have no idea.
Man, that's deep.
No idea.
No, I don't know.
I
If
think
we knew
harmony
that-
has gone as far as it's going to go. If you listen to...
Jacob Collier's probably.
he's the guy, Jacob Collier, he's a guy, I feel I know harmony really quite well, and I have no idea what's going on there at all.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be like a new, like him and then some of the gospel guys that just do stuff that is maybe unconventional to the usual rules of music theory and harmony? Do you think there'll be like a new harmony, like new sort of what's the word? Like new rules.
Maybe
I've
it's
no
dependent-
idea.
Maybe it's dependent on the ear, because it's like the gradual breakdown. It's like there are still a few taboos in terms of what the ear finds pleasant and unpleasant now.
I don't know. I think. I mean, we've talked about this before on the Guitar Hour, but one thing is for sure is that if the Guitar Show is anything to go by, technique is now the easiest thing to acquire. So if you put music out with loads of shredding on, everybody can do that now.
Yeah, just that.
It's just
I know I'm getting old,
that
but
is
it
dead and buried. Nobody wants
doesn't
to listen
interest
to
me
it.
in the
Nobody
slightest.
cares if
No.
you can sweep it
No.
for it to arpeggios at 290 BPM.
That's one of
Just people just don't
it's old
care.
news.
There was a time where I thought that was cool, but now I just literally now if I walk past the guitar player who's doing that, I say this as somebody who does that kind of stuff. It's just like, right, well, so the future is not in more technical music, I don't think.
the first one of my first images of the NAMM show was this guy with his legs really wide open, with like a black flying V, and one of the I don't know which booth it was, but he just had his guitar like this, and he was just kind of going, and his face was just so bored, and he's just doing this,
Dave just stomped on a mouse.
just like
Yeah.
sweeping the balls off whatever he was doing.
Well,
It's
it's
just
just
like
you see Levi's
with
video.
nothing behind the eyes.
With Levi just going
I think
with a shitload of distortion on.
I think as well, just probably to wrap the whole thing up is that
Literally.
I think if we're trying to worry about being original, that it's just a waste of time worrying about that.
Yeah,
just do the stuff that you like. Nobody's going to do it exactly the way you do it. If it sounds a bit like someone else, but you like it, just go ahead and do it, man. If you wait around trying to find something original, it's going to be something nobody wants to listen to anyway.
I feel like
So-
as a scene, like there's more of appreciation now for like a good song.
I love the way-
I'm getting to that now. I don't know if it's because I'm not old, but as I'm getting older now, I'm not really. I'm like I didn't get to mention it before, but like finding new music and stuff. Even if it's just like a really well written song that there might not be that much guitar playing on there, but if the parts are really nice and the whole thing's crafted, it's like I like it's like I can like this even though there's not that much guitar in it. and nobody's.
I love the way how guitar centric we are. The original question was, where do you see complex harmony?
Yeah.
Somehow brought it round to like guitar technique. But to kind of try and answer your question, this is kind of a it sounds like a sort of cynical, stupid answer, but it isn't really. If where is harmony going? If I knew, I'd have done it. So I don't know. Yeah. I've got no idea. I don't even know what Jacob Collier is doing. I say don't even know. I've got no idea what Jacob Collier is doing. And I'm in awe of what's going on. The thing for me is I think a lot of those guys, like Jacob Collier, they have a weird innate ability. Like there's a video of a little kid online. There's 2 videos where he's doing ear training. You seen this video?
Yeah.
Again, got to, if you've never seen it, you've got to see it, haven't you? Because it's just unbelievable. Playing the most unbelievably complex harmony. Now I understand what's going on with that harmony, but he can identify all the notes in the chord and he can sing another note like a fifth above or something unrelated to the chord. It's just ridiculous. Now those kind of guys, because of the way they can hear, are
So
possibly guys
in
that
3D. They can
yeah,
hear all
literally.
the possible.
Yeah, exactly. It's unbelievable. So fingers crossed, harmony will go somewhere really exciting. I'm sure it will. But if it's anything like, to bring it back round to guitar one more time, if it's anything like the way technique has progressed, we're in for a very exciting time indeed. Okay, so that brings us
Episode 1
to the end of episode 1. After a huge amount of work getting this together for you guys, it may not seem like that much changed, but in actual fact, behind the scenes, a ton of stuff has changed to make this video quality and audio quality much better, and for all of these kind of transitions and stuff. Thanks to Dave for writing our theme tune, which you're going to hear again in a minute. Next week, we're going to try and perform this for you live, but I hope that the balance of kind of chat and playing, every week we're going to be doing this jam track thing as well. We'll have 4 different jam tracks for you next week. You guys can vote and stuff. And the Q&A at the end. Get your questions on the Guitar Hour Guitar Hour's Facebook page, which is facebook.com/The Guitar Hour. When I talk about these things, it makes me sound like I don't know what the internet is. I don't know what's going on there. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that, guys. We'll be doing the news again. If you spot anything that you think is newsworthy, unless it's like, will you please feature me playing over if you spot anything, like someone's released an album or whatever, or you think we should be featuring it on the Guitar Hour, please let us know. Anything you guys want to add, like the interesting things that people might
Feedback.
Feedback about the show. Get on the Guitar Hour Facebook page. We have a Twitter page.
We do have a Twitter, yeah. It's just,
what is it?
We'll just search the Guitar Hour on Twitter.
So at the Guitar Hour.
Yeah, I think so.
Hashtag the Guitar Hour. How does that work again? See, I don't know what the internet is.
I
do not use Twitter ever. So, all right, guys. So we hope you've enjoyed the show, and we will see you a week today.
Today,
at 7:30. Check out the dates on the Guitar Hour's Facebook page, and we will see you next time.